My brother set my apartment on fire while I was sleeping because Dad left me the house. I woke up to the smell of smoke at 3 in the morning, and my first thought wasn't fire, it was barbecue. Isn't that stupid? My brain was so convinced that someone was grilling ribs at an ungodly hour that I actually smiled before I opened my eyes. Then I saw the orange glow underneath my bedroom door, and every muscle in my body locked up. My name is Stephanie, and I'm about to tell you how my own brother tried to kill me over a house. It started 6 months earlier when Dad died. Heart attack. He was only 62, still jogging every morning, still doing crossword puzzles at the kitchen table with his reading glasses perched on his nose. One minute he was complaining about the Dodgers pitching lineup, and the next he was gone. Just like that. The funeral was awful, but bearable. My brother Derek stood next to me at the graveside in Arlington Memorial Park, and we held hands like we used to when we were kids. He was crying. I was crying. Mom had passed away when I was 12, so now it was just the two of us. I remember thinking we'd get through this together, the way families are supposed to. Then came the reading of the will. Dad's attorney, Mr. Holloway, had us meet at his office in downtown Portland. It was one of those fancy places with mahogany furniture and leather chairs that squeaked when you sat down. Derek showed up 20 minutes late, smelling like bourbon even though it was 11 in the morning. That should have been my first warning sign. Mr. Holloway cleared his throat and pulled out the documents. Your father was very clear about his wishes, he said, and I watched Derek lean forward in his chair. The beach house in Cannon Beach, the one Dad bought when I was 7, where we spent every summer building sandcastles and collecting agates, went to Derek. Fair enough. Derek loved that place. Dad's Silverado pickup truck? Derek. The savings account? Split between us. But the house, our childhood home on Maple Ridge Drive, the 4-bedroom craftsman with the wraparound porch and the Japanese maple in the front yard, went to me. Just me. I saw Derek's face change. It was like watching a door slam shut behind someone's eyes. This is bullshit, Derek said before we even left the parking lot. I was still processing everything, still holding the folder with my copies of the will. Derek, I didn't know. You didn't know. He laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. It was bitter and sharp. Come on, Steph. You always were his favorite. That stung because it wasn't true. Dad loved us both. He was tough on Derek, sure, but that's because Derek had been struggling since high school. The drinking started when he was 16. Then came the DUI when he was 19. Then the job he got fired from for showing up drunk. Then another job, same story. Dad had bailed him out more times than I could count. Maybe he left you the house because you'd actually take care of it, I said quietly. Wrong thing to say. Derek's face went red. Take care of it? I grew up in that house too, Stephanie. I have just as much right to it as you do. I'm not saying you don't. Then sign it over to me. Or sell it and split the money. I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. The house was worth about $400,000. Derek would blow through his half in a year, probably less. Dad knew that. That's why he'd made the decision he did. I can't, I said. Dad wanted me to have it. Derek got in his Mustang and peeled out of the parking lot so fast he left rubber on the asphalt. That was in March. By April, he was calling me every other day. At first, he tried being nice, asking how I was doing, reminiscing about childhood memories, suggesting we could both live in the house together. When I explained I was happy in my apartment in Beaverton and wasn't planning to move, he switched tactics. You're just going to let it sit empty? While I'm living in a crappy 1-bedroom in Gresham. You could rent it, he'd say. I'll be the tenant. I'll pay you rent. But Derek hadn't paid rent on time in 5 years. His landlord had told me that himself when I co-signed his current lease. By May, the calls got angrier. He started texting me at 2, 3 in the morning. Long rants about how unfair it was, how Dad had never believed in him, how I'd always been the golden child. I stopped responding. Then I stopped answering his calls altogether. I should have seen what was coming. But you never think your own brother, your own blood, would actually try to hurt you. The smoke alarm finally went off, screaming so loud my ears rang. I jumped out of bed and touched the doorknob. It was hot. Fire Safety 101, if the doorknob's hot, don't open the door. But I was on the 2nd floor of my apartment building, and there was nowhere else to go except the window. I ran to it and looked down. Too high to jump. Below me, I could see Mrs. Patterson from 1B standing in her nightgown, phone pressed to her ear. She looked up and saw me, and her mouth formed a perfect O. "The fire department's coming," she screamed. "Stay there." Stay there? The smoke was pouring under my door now, thick and black. I grabbed a t-shirt from my floor and held it over my mouth. My eyes were watering so badly I could barely see. The heat was getting worse. I could feel it through the walls, like the whole building was an oven and I was inside it. I thought about my laptop on the kitchen table. All my photos of Mom and Dad. The quilt Grandma made before she died. My nursing school textbooks. I just finished my first year at Oregon Health and Science University, and I was supposed to start my clinical rotations in 2 weeks. Then I thought, I'm going to die in here. The fire department got there in 8 minutes, but it felt like hours. They evacuated the whole building, 24 units. By the time they put the fire out, my apartment was destroyed. The fire had started right outside my door, they said. Someone had piled newspapers and cardboard boxes in the hallway and doused them with lighter fluid. Arson. Deliberate. The fire chief, a woman named Captain Rodriguez, found me sitting on the curb wrapped in a blanket someone had given me. "Do you have any idea who might have done this?" I did. But I didn't want to believe it. Do you have enemies? An ex-boyfriend? Anyone who'd want to hurt you? I opened my mouth to say no. Then I closed it. Then I opened it again. "My brother," I whispered. The police came the next morning. 2 detectives, Detective Harris, who looked like somebody's dad with his reading glasses and coffee-stained tie, and Detective Patel, younger, sharper, with eyes that didn't miss anything. They took my statement at a Denny's because I had nowhere else to go. I'd spent the night at my friend Lauren's apartment, sleeping on her couch, wearing her clothes because everything I owned smelled like smoke or was ash. "Tell us about your brother," Detective Harris said, stirring sugar into his coffee. So I did. I told them about the will, about the house, about the phone calls and the texts. I pulled out my phone and showed them the messages Derek had sent me over the past 2 months. There were dozens of them. "You're going to regret this. That house should be mine. Dad made a mistake and you know it. I swear to God, Stephanie." Detective Patel scrolled through them, her expression neutral. "Did he ever threaten you directly?" "Not in so many words," I said. "But look at that one from last week." "You better watch yourself." "That could mean anything," Detective Harris said gently. "We need proof." They went to talk to Derek that afternoon. He was working as a line cook at a sports bar in Gresham called Rookies. According to what Detective Patel told me later, he'd acted shocked when they told him about the fire. Said he hadn't seen me in weeks. Said he'd been at work until midnight, then went home and crashed. "Can anyone verify that?" they'd asked. My roommate, Kevin, Derek had said without hesitation. Kevin backed him up. Said Derek had come home around 12:30, watched TV for an hour, then went to bed. Didn't leave the apartment until his shift the next morning. The detectives checked the security footage from my apartment building. The cameras showed someone in a black hoodie and jeans entering through the side door at 2:47 a.m. They walked straight to the second floor, right to my door, carrying something, the newspapers and cardboard, probably. They poured the lighter fluid, lit it, and left. The whole thing took less than 3 minutes. "Can you see their face?" I asked Detective Patel. "No. They knew where the cameras were. Kept their head down the whole time. But it was him. It had to be. The person in the video is the right height and build for your brother," she admitted. "But we can't prove it's him. The video's too grainy." I felt my chest tighten. "So that's it? He just gets away with it?" "We're still investigating," Detective Harris said. "We'll check phone records, see if we can place him near your building. But right now, we don't have enough for an arrest." I went back to Lauren's apartment and cried for 2 hours straight. The next 3 weeks were the worst of my life. I moved in with Lauren temporarily, sleeping on her couch in her tiny studio apartment in Hillsborough. Everything I owned was either gone or reeked of smoke. My landlord's insurance covered some of it, but insurance doesn't replace the photos of your dead parents or the stuffed bear you've had since you were 6. I filed a restraining order against Derek. The judge granted a temporary one, which meant he had to stay at least 500 feet away from me. That should have made me feel safer. It didn't. Every car that drove by Lauren's building made me flinch. Every footstep in the hallway made my heart race. I couldn't sleep without the lights on. I stopped going to my summer classes because I was terrified Derek would find me on campus. Lauren was incredible. She never once complained about me taking over her space, even though I was clearly driving her crazy with my paranoia. She worked as a graphic designer from home, and she'd sit with me while I called insurance companies and dealt with the police and tried to figure out what to do with the house Dad left me. "Maybe you should just sell it," she said one night while we were eating Chinese takeout on her couch. "Give him half the money and be done with it." I thought about that. Really thought about it. But something in me couldn't do it. It felt like letting Derek win. Like letting him get away with trying to kill me. "Dad left me that house for a reason," I said. "I'm not giving it up." The fire investigator confirmed it was arson. They found traces of lighter fluid and accelerant patterns that proved the fire had been set deliberately. But without a clear suspect, without proof it was Derek, the case stalled. Derek kept his distance, at least physically. But the messages started again. Different number this time. He'd gotten a burner phone. The texts were uglier now. "You think you're safe? I know where you are. This isn't over." I showed them to the police. They added them to the file. But there was nothing they could do without proof. "Change your number," Detective Patel suggested. "And consider staying somewhere else for a while. Somewhere he can't find you." But where? I didn't have family anymore except Derek. My friends all lived in Portland or the suburbs. I couldn't run forever. Then I got a call from Mr. Holloway, Dad's attorney. "Stephanie, I think you should come to my office," he said. "There's something your father left for you. Something I was instructed to give you only if certain circumstances arose." Mr. Holloway's office felt different this time. Quieter. Heavier. He closed the door behind me and gestured for me to sit down in the same squeaky leather chair as before. "Your father was a smart man," he said. He anticipated that Derek might not take the inheritance well. He pulled out a sealed envelope from his desk drawer. My name was written on it in Dad's handwriting, that familiar blocky print he used for everything from grocery lists to birthday cards. "He wrote this 3 years ago," Mr. Holloway said. "He updated his will multiple times, but this letter stayed the same." My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were 2 pages, front and back, filled with Dad's words. "Dear Stephanie, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I'm guessing Derek is making trouble. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I know you're probably wondering why I gave you the house and not him. The truth is simple. Derek isn't ready for that responsibility. I've bailed him out of more messes than you know about: DUIs, unpaid debts, bar fights. I kept hoping he'd turn himself around, but some people have to want to change, and Derek doesn't want to. I gave him the beach house because it's paid off and he can sell it if he needs to. The savings will help him get by for a while. But the family home? That needs someone who'll take care of it. Someone responsible. That's you. I need you to know something else. Derek has a problem with anger. It started when your mother died. He was so young, and he didn't know how to process it. I tried to get him help, therapy, counseling, but he refused. Over the years, it got worse. There were incidents I never told you about. A neighbor's mailbox he smashed with a bat when he was 17. A girlfriend's car he keyed when she broke up with him when he was 23. I'm not telling you this to make you afraid of him. I'm telling you so you'll be careful. If Derek comes after you about the house, if he threatens you or tries to intimidate you, do not give in. Do not let him bully you out of what's yours. And if things get really bad, there's something you should know. I installed security cameras around the property 5 years ago after Derek broke in one night while drunk. The footage is stored on a hard drive in my office closet, top shelf, behind the old photo albums. The password is your mother's maiden name plus her birth year, Brennan 1964. I hope you never need any of this. I hope Derek makes peace with my decision and you two can remain family. But if not, if he does something stupid, you have resources. Use them. I love you, sweetheart. I'm proud of the woman you've become. Take care of our house. Make it a home. Love always, Dad. I read the letter 3 times. Then I looked up at Mr. Holloway with tears streaming down my face. "The hard drive," I said. "Is it still there?" "I went to the house this morning to check," he said. "It's exactly where your father said it would be." Years of security footage from 6 cameras positioned around Dad's property. The police went through it all, and what they found changed everything. 3 weeks before the fire at my apartment, Derek had broken into the Maple Ridge house. The footage showed him using a key, Dad's key, which he must have stolen at the funeral, to enter through the back door at 2 in the morning. He'd spent 20 minutes inside, going through Dad's things, punching walls, knocking over furniture. But that wasn't the damning part. The damning part was what they found when they checked Derek's phone records. The night of my apartment fire, his phone pinged off a cell tower 6 blocks from my building at 2:43 a.m., 4 minutes before the figure in the hoodie appeared on the security footage. Kevin, his roommate, broke under police questioning. Admitted Derek had paid him $200 to lie about his whereabouts that night. Said Derek had left their apartment at 2:15 a.m. and didn't come back until almost 4. They arrested Derek at Rookies during his lunch shift. I wasn't there to see it, but Lauren showed me the news coverage on her phone. There he was, my brother, in handcuffs, being walked to a police car while his co-workers watched from the kitchen window. I should have felt relieved, vindicated, safe. Instead, I felt hollow. The trial took 8 months. Derek pleaded not guilty, claimed the phone records were wrong, claimed Kevin was lying to save himself. But the evidence was overwhelming. The footage from Dad's house. The cell tower data. Kevin's testimony. The texts Derek had sent me from the burner phone, which police traced back to him through the store where he'd bought it. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty of first-degree arson. Guilty of attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to 18 years. I sat in the courtroom and watched the bailiff lead my brother away. He looked at me once, right before they took him through the door. His expression wasn't angry anymore. It was just empty. Dad's house on Maple Ridge Drive is mine now, really and truly. I moved in last month. It still smells like Dad, like coffee and Old Spice and the lemon furniture polish he used on the wood floors every Saturday morning. I'm turning Mom's old craft room into a study space for nursing school. I planted new flowers in the garden, daisies and black-eyed Susans, Mom's favorites. I'm making it home, just like Dad wanted. Sometimes I think about Derek. About the brother who held my hand at our father's funeral. About the boy who used to build blanket forts with me in the living room and share his Halloween candy even though I knew he wanted to keep it all for himself. I don't know when he changed. Maybe it was when Mom died. Maybe it was gradual, so slow none of us noticed until it was too late. What I do know is this: I survived. Dad's house is safe. And every morning when I wake up in my childhood bedroom, with sunlight coming through the curtains and the Japanese maple rustling outside my window, I whisper the same thing. Thank you, Dad, for everything. The inheritance wasn't just a house. It was protection. It was proof. It was Dad taking care of me, even from beyond the grave. And I'm never giving it up.